Your time spent in the world of Submerged will vary depending on how strong your drive to explore without much reward is.
Two strains of humanity, Neanderthals and us, Homo sapiens. The Neanderthals were used as a military force due to their incredible strength, while humans were designated workers.
This game design was led by David Jones, who created the original Grand Theft Auto and Crackdown. It was released in June 2010 in North America and Europe.
Hello and welcome to Worldwide Gaming. I'm your host Ryan, and today we're all about exploring. Jarryd is reviewing the Australian indie post-apocalyptic explorer Submerged. Rick is exploring the story of Assassin's Creed and how it relates to real-world events. And lastly, Colin explores how to make some quick cash as a criminal in All Points Bulletin Reloaded. All that after the forecast.
Set in New Orleans, the next game in the Mafia franchise is on its way. As a mixed-race protagonist in 1960s America, players will be seeing some of the issues that were present at the time. The game is releasing next year for Xbox One, PS4 and PC.
What are you gonna do for yours?
The re-release of the Deadpool game from 2013 is coming this November. The game follows the titular character on an ego trip through the Marvel Universe. The Merc with the Mouth is recreated fantastically here, with all of his fourth wall breaking charm. The remake is coming to PS4 and Xbox One this November.
Really? Explosion! Damn it, I asked for Steadicam. Sayonara, biatches.
A game based on the popular Attack on Titan anime is releasing next year. Tasking players with taking down the giants, they will use their three-dimensional maneuver gear to traverse the land. It is releasing next year for PS4, PS3 and PS Vita.
ちゃんとシビアで、なんで味方をいかにリンクしてそれでカーをやれば捕まっても味方が助けてくれる確率が上がると、ただ単独行動もできるんですけど、単独でいくと捕まったがもう最後みたくなってきてしまうので、そういったところは状況を見ながらです。
Developed by Australian indie studio Uppercut Games, Submerged is the third-person combat-free experience in which you find yourself exploring the flooded remnants of a once great city to find resources to keep your brother alive, and if you're willing to look far enough, uncover the story of the city's fate. Submerged follows the story of Miku, a young girl who's willing to go to drastic measures to ensure her wounded brother Taku stays alive. Much of this is communicated to you non-verbally, with the voice acting being reserved literally for one-line deliveries that accompany the objective reminders in the game. As you explore the often stunning post-apocalyptic world, you'll find clues in the form of pictograms that will fill you in on why Miku and Taku were there, and how the city came to be the way it is. As each part of the story is rationed out, you fill in the blanks in your diary and get a clearer picture of what happened. As fascinating as I found the dual stories, I did find myself wishing that there were more than just pictograms available. Even a line or two of flavour text would have been nice. While the gameplay in Submerged is based on free roam exploration with a heavy emphasis on Assassin's Creed style climbing, the experience is fairly linear and there is little to reward the curious explorer beyond secret items that fill in the story or upgrade your boat to move faster for longer. Your overarching goal is to find medical and survival supplies to help keep your brother alive, and in some respects this feels like finding Zombrex in Dead Rising 2, except without the zombies, combat, or even a failure state. This sucks all of the urgency out of the game, and while Submerged's purpose is to give you a relaxing experience for a couple of hours, there's never any real drive to actually go and do what the game asks you. Sure, it attempts to sway you into progressing by having a short day and night cycle and somewhat eerie humanoids that appear to be shadowing you, but in the end it's just repeated fetch quests that have no punishment for not doing them in a timely fashion, and no reward beyond shuffling you to the next piece of survival gear that needs gathering. It's a shame that there wasn't more variation injected into the game, as you're given this amazing environment that's just begging to be explored and climbed on, but after a little while it feels really monotonous. Your Your time spent in the world of Submerged will vary depending on how strong your drive to explore without much reward is. The main objectives in the game can be completed in an hour or two, but if you're interested enough in the city's story to uncover all 60 of the pictograms, this can easily double the time you spend with the game. You can always return to the game after finishing it to find the rest of these collectibles if the urge presents itself. Submerged is a mostly beautiful creation, and Uppercut Games have done a fantastic job of making the sunken and overgrown city feel deserted and crumbling through the use of excellent world and building architecture. Life will always find a way though, and this is evident in the various creatures you'll come across during your adventure, each with their own distinct look. The game is a fantastic use of the Unreal 4 engine, and it makes me excited to see what other developers will do with it. However, every rose has its thorn, and so too does Submerged. While the vistas in the game are often breathtaking, the texture work can sometimes be hit and miss, and the character models and animations can sometimes feel a little stiff or underdeveloped. More time spent on integrating these things seamlessly would have been appreciated, and would have increased the immersion of the experience. I also had a number of issues with frame rate, which was surprising. Submerged does look great, but I didn't feel that it was a high enough level to tax my system. While I've not played this title on consoles, I'm told the issues are even more pronounced, which is a little disappointing. The sound design complements the world perfectly. The engine noise of your little boat powering through the water changes convincingly as you travel between buildings. The creatures you encounter all have their own voices to add to the surrounds, from the clicks and whistles of the dolphins to the bassy songs of the humpback whale, and my personal favourite, the larger buildings literally groan with the weight of years and decay. Each sound weaves itself into a tapestry that makes the world feel believable, which is then slightly marred by the overpowering piano music that jumps in at times. Playing Submerged on PC, I decided to go the keyboard and mouse route. It wasn't the worst, but I definitely think the controls could be tightened up a bit. There's the occasional jumping down off a ledge when you don't want to, or climbing up on a ledge when you're trying to run past, but on the whole it's not too bad. The lack of a sprint button was disappointing, and yet the boat has a boost option, so consistency would have been nice. Steering the boat on mouse and keyboard was much harder than it should have been, and I'd find myself often pinballing off walls in enclosed areas because the controls would completely disagree with what I was intending to do. I know it's a boat, so I shouldn't expect precision turning circles, but when it turns in the complete opposite direction, I feel my argument might just be valid. The camera can also be a little tough to contend with, as it will often wrest control away from you during climbing sequences to blatantly point out what the game wanted you to look at. This seemed an odd choice for a game built on exploration, and the experience was already easy enough without this extra hand-holding. I enjoyed my time with Submerged, and its attempts to provide a relaxing experience mostly succeeded, though the lack of urgency is completely at odds with your brother Taku's situation. The world has a few rough edges, but is often stunning to behold, and for the more curious gamers, this might be enough to justify the current asking price.